Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it's time for a Dadbod to Daddy transformation vlog. And scale's going down, cutting fairly aggressively now. You know, I've had a lot of people ask that, like, well, why don't you cut a little more aggressive? And I'm like, because I haven't wanted to, but now is really a good time to do it. You know, we're getting towards the end of summer. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut aggressive. We actually hit 209 this morning. Of course, my lower body days, since I don't have any upper body pump in them, I feel like I look a little softer up top, but that's okay. So with this, I'm kind of keeping with what I realized I need to do for my deadlift training. So I just came and pulled a fairly heavy single. I didn't even try to rep that. I know it's only 495, but right now, with the deep deficit, I feel like me trying to push really hard on deadlifts is not good. Let's just maintain technique. And I'm going to use good mornings to build it back up. I do feel like my posterior chain has gotten weaker. And what really built me up into the 600s before? Good mornings. Also helps my squats. I'm like, let's push the good mornings. And as much as I want to use the straight bar, I'm like, I have these other bars. And this one really carries over to my deadlifting and my squatting historically. So I'm like, let's go ahead and just use this bar, right? Let's use this bar. And I just kind of ramped up with it. And now again, these are beltless. And so when I've done 500 plus with this bar in the past, it was with a belt on. So a little bit different of a beast, but these felt good, right? They felt really good. And I just ramped triples a little bit. And I didn't go super heavy. I got to 285 for a triple on this. But given old muscle memory, given the posterior chain detraining, because keep in mind, I had elite levels for being in my age group. I had elite levels of posterior chain strength just a few years ago. So again, I feel like I can build it back up with this combination, and that will help with the physique stuff. Because again, if my posterior chain is stronger, it makes burning through calories, lifting, and everything easier. All right. So just go ahead and build it back up. So in a lot of ways, I'm going to train glutes and hamstrings like a power lifter, right? Like a strength athlete again, while I'm doing all this upper body physique stuff. So I noticed again, the love handle area looks a little looser today, and that's okay. It will tighten up towards the end of the week. I find like Monday, like yesterday, it was really good, and I think it's because I diet a little harder on the weekends. A lot of my upper body days, I eat more post-workout, whereas through the weekends, I don't eat anything for breakfast. I've been fasting. Some of these lower body days, I feel like I can probably get away with that too. But I've noticed a big difference just in terms of what I look like day to day, based around that. So it's just worth noting for the vlog. It's worth noting for the vlog. But again, doing heavy good mornings again. And then I'm going to push volume with the reverse hypers, right? Using the heavier weights for volumes. And these were nauseating because I managed to get 30 reps. I didn't even think I could get 30 on the second plus set, but I somehow managed to get to them. I probably could have pushed them even further, but again, felt a little crampy. I felt the nausea kicking in from these really high reps on this. But again, I feel like I need some of that, right? We need some of that. Because particularly going heavier on the big movements, just getting all that blood flow, getting that stuff to my low back is what I need. Because again, my low back needs to get stronger, core needs to get stronger, doing all the beltless work. And so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and push this stuff. And the difference here, people say, how can you, if you're on that big of a deficit, can you gain muscle there? Yes, possibly because of muscle memory, because my posterior chain has been so much stronger in the past. Keep in mind, you guys have seen me at a higher body weight and higher body fat. I've done 625 on a deficit deadlift before. All right, you guys have seen me do 550 on a good morning. So doing the exercises that built some of that again and pushing them super hard, because I've really been just playing with some of the lower body stuff while I've been trimming down, but it's not in my best interest to do so. And this is the thing to keep in mind. You've got to be aware of fatigue when you're cutting, so that might mean not going crazy heavy on deadlifts, for example. But the other stuff, yes, I can push a lot of this other metabolic work because that will help keep my metabolic rate up. It will help me retain muscle, possibly regain a little bit of muscle. That's what keeps the energy turnover high. Okay, That is what keeps the TDE up, keeps the energy turnover way up. So that is what I'm doing here. So again, pushing this stuff a bit harder. And I know those good mornings are not pushing hard because of the weights being used relative to where I used to be, but they were still challenging. So again, I started adding them back in this last week, did them with a straight bar. But now I'm going to go to that bar. I'm just going to push that bar. Had to break it back out, get easy access to it to get it in and out of the rack. And yeah, I feel like I really need that. I need that because of the cut to make sure that I hold on to that lower body strength. Because when I'm doing 500-pound deadlifts and they feel heavy, like last week, I did 515 for a double beltless, and it felt really heavy. Okay, need to keep that sorted out. Yes, we accept it on a cut when we're working on physique as a primary. Strength will not always be optimal, but we can't ignore it. Can't ignore it. Would not be wise. So again, because it's also a metric of what we're doing with lean body mass. And if my posterior chain's getting weaker, that's a lot of muscle. I need the weight that I drop to not be muscle tissue. Okay, particularly on a fairly aggressive cut. So the trick to that is we can push hard. We just have to watch total volumes a little bit. Watch total volumes. Don't let the volumes themselves too many work sets. And yes, I understand this is 4 sets of 30, but it's also after a very modest amount of heavy work. So when we look at the total volumes, if we count the deadlift as a work set, it's 8 work sets for my posterior chain. That's perfectly reasonable. With a wide variety of rep ranges in there, but 8 sets, that's perfectly reasonable. And I feel like I could get away with up to 10. Probably get away with up to 10. But the other thing I'm noting is that even though I pushed the glute ham raise, the deadlift did not stay. So again, it tells me these days that really the glute ham raise maybe doesn't add as much to the deadlift as I feel like it does for me personally. But my hamstrings have never really been the weak link in my deadlift, right? For me, it tends to be my back. It tends to be my glutes. So let's hammer those things, right? Hammer those things in. We did 1 set of hanging leg raises at the end, and we called it a day. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.